Hello and welcome to a special video. I want to give a shout out to Tasmum from the Dallas Fuel, GM of the Dallas Fuel. They've hooked me up with some stuff. So the Dallas Fuel, if you haven't realized, has been putting up some of their point of views, and they are going to be continuously doing that throughout the season of their players onto their YouTube channel. If you want the YouTube channel, it's just Dallas Fuel on YouTube. I just linked it in chat. If you guys want to go there, give it a subscribe, give their videos a like. It's really cool to be able to see things from a player's perspective because we don't have the replay viewer this year, unfortunately. So what has happened is they've hooked me up with a POV of the Dallas Fuel. I managed to get all 3 maps of Hanbin. So Hanbin has been hailed by myself and a lot of other people as the best Zarya so far in the league in Overwatch 2, the way he plays and the way that he's defined how Dallas Fuel played and how people are impersonating that style has become very prominent. So we have the VODs from their match against the Toronto Defiant of Hanbin POV. So we're going to watch those, check them out, just sort of enjoy. This wasn't a super close match. I think Dallas Fuel kind of rolled over the Defiant, but it is still going to be cool nonetheless to see how Hanbin gets it done. So let's jump into it and just watch.
Ready for battle.
It's very loud. 1 second. Stop that.
Behind.
Defending.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tasmum. Everyone say thank you to Tasmum. Custa paid actor by Dallas. Yeah, they're still reimbursing me after a terrible 2018 season. You know, Tasmum's just trying to make it up to me.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1.
Paying out for mental damages, yeah. Alright, so Dallas likes to play this comp a lot. They play the Zarya, the Reaper, the Soldier. And the coordination between Edison and Hanbin is really like the thing to keep an eye out for. And from what I've seen of the online matches, Hanbin has like balls of steel when it comes down to holding bubbles and like not using them, right? Like he still hasn't used a bubble on himself and he's 150 health. So, mainly focusing on getting the bubbles onto Edison. But has 0 energy and is sad right now. I don't know if I agree with that bubble onto Edison. Lots of trust in his supports. If Fielder or Chio were my supports, I would trust them as well. Oh. Alright, so holding onto that bubble because Edison's getting out there. Has yet to get any energy, which kind of is... It's one of the biggest problems with Zarya in Overwatch 2, right? Is that sometimes it feels very hard to get good energy. Because, like, has Hanbin bubbled himself, I think, twice now? Both of them were mainly to just get energy when disengaging. Interesting. So you can sort of see what Hanbin's trying to do, right? Like he's enable Edison to walk forward, right? Edison TPs forward, walks forward. Edison is the primary person for bubbles. He's also saving one for his backline if they get hit. And he's kind of being that middle ground trying to make himself a threat. Obviously, if he doesn't get any energy, he's not really much of a threat, but he's just sort of staying in that middle ground and bubbling backwards if they get dove, bubbling forwards if they want to play aggressive. Pretty simple. But I think one thing that we've seen a lot of other Zaryas doing on weaker teams and weaker players on the Zarya is it feels like they're just going through their bubbles and they're using bubbles to get energy, kind of like how you did in the past. But Hanbin, I don't think has really used one like heavily for a greed, right? To get energy. Like I think we're probably about to get one here. There you go. There's a bubble onto himself. But that's just clean. Oh, Bubbles Fielder saves him from the pulse bomb. Protect your supports. And once he gets energy, once you get energy on that Zarya, it's just free low.
My ultimate is almost ready.
If you could get Jexay back instead of Chio, would you take it? Nah, I think Chio has more potential. So just getting Bubbles back up. Still holding. Alright, good grab onto the Winston. Forces the visor, forces the beat. And now he's got 100 energy and a fucking nano. Oh, feels bad. Maybe a little greedy on the peak, but I don't think he was expecting to sleep that late. Another great bubble onto Edison as well. Gets the Death Blossom, gets it through. And like, the thing is like, Hanbin knows that they don't want to deal him. And this is the strength of the Zarya from what it's... Oh, wow. Literally, how many people has Hanbin saved so far in just this round? I would say it's about 4, right? He just saved Chio's life. He saved Fielder before. He saved Edison once. I think it's 4, and he probably hit that bubble into Edison on the Death Blossom as well. Like, it's kind of crazy, the threat that the Zarya brings of, like, you can tell that, like, Defiant don't have the ability, and this is what makes Zarya so strong against his Winston Soldier Tracer, is like, the Defiant cannot focus and try and focus down Hanbin if he doesn't go too aggressive. And that's like, Hanbin seems to know how to play that balancing act of being aggressive and being a threat while also not overextending. And that's like, that's in proof that he hasn't really had to use many bubbles to help himself either. Like, he's just beaming fools as they try and run past him. Because Zarya's are being so patient with the bubbles instead of prioritizing energy. And that's it. Like, you're better off... bubbles shouldn't really be used for energy. Like, that one was used for energy, kind of. But for the most part, you see Hanbin holding these, right? And waiting for, like, guaranteed damage when it's going to actually be valuable. And Muse just gets absolutely evaporated by the Zarya. And, like, once you get energy, like, what do you do? What do you do if you're Twilight? Leave Twilight alone! Dominant performance by Dallas Fuel there, and you can just see the effectiveness of Hanbin on the Zarya.
Score 1-0.
Alright. First round. So we actually watched POV of this thing. This is a really dominant round by Dallas Fuel, but it's cool to get it from Hanbin's perspective, you know? See how he's doing things, because I feel like we don't really get a lot of Zarya POV in the Overwatch League when they're like watching it and spectating it, because it's just like there's a lot of downtime, so it's nice to get some perspective on it. But is Chio the weakest link? I don't think so. I think a lot of people say Chio is the weakest link just because he's the new guy. I like to call that the San Francisco shock effect. I don't think Chio is the weak link. I think I want to see more of Chio before I can really make that judgment, because I don't think it's fair to make that judgment just yet. Alright, so let's see how he uses these. It goes in with Edison first, gets a little bit of energy, and you can just tell how aggressive Edison's able to play. He has a lot of faith that Hanbin's going to keep an eye on him. The most interesting thing for me so far is it feels like Hanbin isn't even really tracking his backline, right? Like, he's bubbled Fielder once, but he's not even really tracking. He's so forward focused on keeping Edison alive, and I feel like that inherently makes his backline safer. And he always has one he almost always has one in supply. He always has one bubble or close to one bubble at all times. Just so in case of emergency, press bubble. Like, Edison's probably going to get another one in just a second, right? Like, he's getting every cycle that he gets a new bubble, it goes on to Edison. He probably could have bubbled Edison again there. Oh, now he's 80 energy. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas. Oh, he didn't have the bubble up yet. I think he can win this, right? He's about to get another bubble. Oh, Edison TP. He didn't even know where Edison's coming from. That's just communication right there. Like, you can tell Edison's TPing in. He just knows when the bubble's coming there. Edison comes out, gets bubbled. So... just unkillable. Like, Hanbin is literally unkillable. And as soon as he gets energy, if they go too aggressive and he gets energy, he just becomes such a threat. Edison's also playing out of his mind. Yeah, but that's on, like, you have to give Hanbin credit there. That's a energy bubble right there. Seems like he only wants to use bubble for energy way before a fight's expected to start. Is he gonna use a bubble himself? Oh, there you go, Edison on. Wait, he got Muse with that right click? Like, how do you deal with this as a Winston comp, right? Hanbin hasn't even really got close to dying. So much discipline, yeah. And so much trust as well in Fielder that he's gonna get healed by Fielder. Oh, you see him? Edison's gonna get another bubble here, yeah. Dude, how do you deal with this? Like, Toronto, like, this feels like a competitive game of like a GM versus Golds, where it's just like the Zarya is just farming. Echo? No, I think you need to get in the... I think you need someone applying pressure to the backline because, like, as I said, like, it feels like Hanbin has no fear of his backline. Like, his backline is just chilling, like, the entire time, and he's just worried about cycling with him and Edison. They're just such an oppressive force in the front line that it doesn't even feel like Toronto's had the ability to get in. So now you can see him tracking, although he's probably aware of the pulse bomb. Late bubble to avoid the pulse. Saves Fielder's life again. Grab on a Chorong. Oh, the nano was ballsy. And it worked. That was actually such a smart nano by Twilight. Hisu says, fuck this, I'm out. Forcing bubbles out of Hanbin isn't really an option. They do need to... I think that is the best way they need to do this, is they need to find a way to get bubbles out of Hanbin, because it always feels like Hanbin is never pressured to use his second bubble, right? As we said of, like, it's about forcing more bubbles. Like, Hanbin always has one in reserve, and that's why he always has the bubble for Fielder every time he gets stuck. That's why he always has a bubble, and then he's just like, anytime he gets to 2 bubbles, Edison goes in, right? So, like, as soon as he gets 2 bubbles, Edison goes in, he forces it, but he always has that one in his back pocket for whatever the Toronto Defiant decide to do. There you go, Edison in. Edison's gonna need another bubble probably. Oh my god, he has balls of steel. I would have bubbled Edison. It feels so bad watching him walk around on 0 energy. He's actually held 2 bubbles for a little long here. I feel like this is not what he wanted. Yeah, you can tell Hanbin's like kind of caught in this. Yeah, that wasn't great by Hanbin. Felt like he sort of got caught in this area where he wasn't getting the timings with Edison. And you can see how quickly it can... You can see how quickly it can look really bad, right? Like, that is a prime example of how it goes from, like, Hanbin is, like, unkillable, but, and, like, unstoppable, to he gets out of sync with Edison. He is not getting value out of the bubbles with Edison. He can't really step forward because he's got a crossfire against him. He doesn't want to use bubbles for himself, so he's just stuck at 0 energy, just fucking whacking people with a wet noodle of, like, hey, stop that. What is Hanbin's average death? He is yet to die. So, infinity, I guess? No, 0. Infinity. His deaths are infinity. Oh no! Although he gets got infinity Papega. Yeah, that kill, that was such a free kill on all though. They have the ults, they just get aggressive and boom. The average life was infinity. That's why that was my that was where I was crossing my my stats up. Oh come on, dude! Hanbin's 9 million IQ. He's just waiting for him. He's just waiting for Hisu to turn the corner, just like he's coming. Just hears him, just waiting for him. It'd be the most amazing irony if Sojin turns out to be the counter to Zarya Reaper comps. It could happen. It could happen because the E could be very oppressive to Zarya because she has no mobility. If you have that slow, and also the rail is like unavoidable, right? You can't predict the damage of the rail. So I could absolutely see that being a thing if Sojin becomes good. Hello. All right, on to King's Row.
Bonjour.
I think with the rail change, you might see some more Sojin. I agree. I think the rail is just too difficult, and I think the charge rate was too hard, and I think they fixed both of those things in the most recent patches of Sojin. So it seems disrupting the tempo of the Zarya team engage is central for beating her. Do you think going fast or slow is better for that? I think it needs to be a bit of both, right? Like, I think at some point, I think it's not a one-trick thing. I think it's about being reactive to what the Zarya is doing. I think it comes down to the teams to recognize when the Zarya bubbles are being used. So we're going to be able to see a Zarya head-to-head here, so hopefully it's a much different look. So I'm excited to see this, because I think recognizing and tracking the Zarya bubbles is super important when playing against her. There's the bubble. Alright, so that's both bubbles by Hopper. It kind of goes back to like funnily enough, actually, it goes back to a very GOAT style, right? Like that's how GOATs was played. It was very heavily about tracking Zarya bubbles. This feels like a very similar style of like, it's just different because the Zarya can use 2 bubbles on anyone, right? Instead of like, in GOATs, it was like when the Zarya used the bubble on the Reinhardt was very important, right? And it's about gaining that advantage. That seems to be the same thing, especially in these Zarya head-to-heads. You're going to see these back and forths of who can force the bubble first, who's initiating first, where, like, are you going to get that back and forth? And then it's like, who's getting the energy out of the bubbles, because the difference between getting energy and not getting energy for Zarya like heavily changes the value. If Zarya has 0 energy, she's literally just a bubble bot of like enabling Edison. But we're going to see Hanbin here. He gets to 70 energy. He's about to get another bubble. He's about to start beaming. And then all of a sudden this Reaper can't stand here, right? The Reaper can't stand there, although it just dies because of it. Bubble butt. Bubble butt, bubble, bubble, bubble butt. Why would Toronto try and mirror Dallas? You know, at some point you got to play the thing that's going to be good. Like, Winston is not going to work against the Zarya comp here. I just recognize what's going to be good and what's not. Do you think GOAT's era coaches players will be better at countering it? I think this is a skill that everyone learned. It's not like Overwatch League were the only people that played GOATs. Everyone played GOATs. You know, anyone in the Overwatch League, you know, GOATs was 2019. Most of the players in the Overwatch League played GOATs at something. And just like, it's more about cooldown management than anything. And teams and players have gotten so good at that in general. So I don't think it's like a, you know, the idea of like anyone who is good at Zarya and GOATs is going to be incredible. And it's worth switching. Like, I really hope teams don't start going on the idea that they should put DPS players onto the Zarya. I do not think that's going to be a good strategy. That is not a good way forward. That's how you end up in like the Houston Outlaws Doomfist predicament and stuff like that, right? I think it's about teaching your tanks to understand how to do it. Nano Zarya. Bzzz. Plop. You can see that coming from a mile away. Good luck, although. Justice has Callus, exactly. Like, most teams have an off-tank player that should know how to play Zarya, right? That's a bubble for energy. Look at how much energy he has over Hopper. Hopper looks like a fucking dimly lit... I don't even know where I'm going with this. He has no energy. Oh, he's gave him way too much charge there. But I think that's both of Hopper's bubbles. That was both of Hopper's bubbles. You saw that tracking, right? You can see the thought process by Hanbin. So he gets in here, sees Hopper use a bubble. He's used a bubble. They're both at 1. Does Hopper use another bubble? Did Hopper just double bubble himself? One sec. 1 bubble. Double bubble by Hopper right there, right? That's something that you haven't seen Hanbin do at all. So Hopper double bubbles himself for energy, doesn't get any. Okay? And then he's gonna step up. Hanbin's gonna see him use his bubble again. Hopper uses his 3rd bubble for himself. He hasn't bubbled although yet, this entire fight. Although he's playing passive, Hanbin sees that shit. Nah, you can't do that. You can't do that. Hanbin grabs, what do? You have no defensive because your Zarya used 3 bubbles for herself. Hanbin has another one. Keeps it, he'll filter up alive for a bit, but doesn't matter. And I think that's important to note. Like, we talked about, you know, Hopper Zarya and like how Toronto have been playing it. These are the fundamental things of what is the difference between the Dallas Fuel and the Toronto Defiant right now.
Bring me energy.
Later beat for the Dallas Fuel. And there's Hanbin once again holding a bubble, almost saves Edison through that grab. Oh, no, no, no. Good sleep. He had a bubble as well. Hanbin could have bubbled that. Dude, has Hopper bubbled anyone else other than himself? I literally don't think I've seen Hopper bubble anyone but himself in the last like little bit. Edison and Hanbin need to get back in sync. Like they had the death blossom, they have the grab. Oh. Oh, such a good bubble. Oh wow, Doa still dies. Nano death blossom, pretty good. All right, but that was a lot of ultimates from Defiant. So. Is that Hanbin's first death? I think so, yeah. Alright, let's see how Hanbin comes back. Let's see how Hanbin Edison do this coming back in terms of how he wants to get energy. So he bubbles. Another consistent factor, he'll bubble really early, like moving into a fight. In the hopes that he gets 40 energy from it. Stepping up, he has the grab. There's Reaper bubble, double bubble onto Edison. He can grab that, yeah. Dude, Hopper just lapped. Hopper got another grab. Like, that was actually, like, Hopper did so much work in that period of time. Like, Hanbin was holding this grab for a while, and Hopper caught up. So you got to give credit to Hopper for that. That was actually a Hopper diff.
A fox is not taken twice in the same snare.
Oh, yeah, Hanbin. We love you. Don't do this ever again. Don't do this. I don't know what he thought Reinhardt was gonna do here. I don't know what the thought process. Maybe like the thought process was they go in with like Nano Reaper beat, but they just popped all their ultimates and literally got negative value. Like, this was so bad. Like, this is why you don't play Reinhardt against the Zarya. Your shield just gets broken and you just die. He heard you saying he's not a chatty. Just goes back to the Zarya. Like, I would be curious to know if that was just like Hanbin being like, maybe Ryan would work better, or if that was literally just him being like, we have the Nano Death Blossom, we have the beat, we don't need me to play Zarya. I don't think that makes any sense, but 24 energy. They have one more bubble. Edison just went crazy. Who went behind them, although? Altho's behind them, right? They know.
Protecting you.
Dude, look at this man holding 2 bubbles right now. I'd be out of bubbles. Dude, Edison is like Hanbin's best friend. I wish there was a statistic to know how many times Hanbin has bubbled Edison compared to anyone else, including himself, because it's a lot.
To 3, switching sides. And will not flinch.
Is it literally Lucio Ana for heals all the time for all teams? Yeah, right now. Because Lucio Ana are just so good in this patch. I feel like you haven't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's definitely a best friend squad, right? Oh, actually, that's true. We do see some Brig. Brig feels very underrated, or at least was very underrated coming into the league. It feels like teams are starting to use a lot more of her. So once again, Hanbin bubbles very early. I actually kind of like this by Hopper. recognizing the early bubble by Hanbin and applying the pressure, forcing him to use a second bubble. Like, Hanbin's out of bubbles. He does have a lot of energy, though. Oh! Yeah, that's good play by Hanbin. Just the understanding and the awareness by Hanbin of knowing when he needs to go in, when he can play aggressive. He's gonna bubble himself. He does it every time. It's the only time he ever really bubbles himself is very early on in a fight. Too early of a bubble by although, yeah, then Edison goes with a later bubble. Oh, he doesn't have a bubble for himself. He still refuses to bubble himself. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. I need to find myself a Zarya player like Hanbin, who bubbles me every time I play Reaper. My Reaper would be good if that happened. Yeet! And another bubble. Dude. Maximum charge, baby. Holy crap. He's just dismantling the Toronto Defiant. Oh my god, although Edison's so out of position here. Hopper's out of bubbles. Nice beat. Dude, no one stands a chance. Like, what do you do? How is Fielder never in trouble? Yeah, like, that's the, like, it feels like we've seen how many times Hanbin is just up in Twilight's face. Well, it feels like Hanbin is like barely even paid attention to what is happening with Fielder. Like Hanbin doesn't care about Fielder. That's it. That's all I've taken away from it. Hanbin hates Fielder. They're feuding as we speak. Hanbin and Edison are the best friends ever now, but somehow Fielder is just living forever and never really in trouble, because you would think he would be in trouble with how much although is TPing bubbling into the backline as well, but somehow Fielder is just existing. So I don't know what Dallas are doing in this situation to really like enable this kind of stuff, but he's actually pounding. No, I'm not. I was joking. He doesn't hate Fielder. It's more of a strategy. And also sometimes the best defense is offense. That kind of feels like the mantra that Hanbin is taking of like, if I just keep bubbling Edison and keep applying pressure myself, it inherently gives more space to Fielder. Because if you, think about how much healing Edison is getting from Fielder and Hanbin is getting from Fielder, that can't be said for Although and Hopper. It feels like Twilight is constantly under siege, so it feels like no one's getting any healing. So by playing more aggressive and putting that aggressive foot forward, it feels like Fielder inherently gets more space and is defending Fielder by just putting more pressure on. Would that style struggle against a more offensive team like Chokra Outlaws? We don't know, maybe. Like, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen Dallas play other than when they lost to Houston in the opening weekend. And against the Gladiators, I can't really remember exactly the Dallas Fuel Gladiators game of like how the Zarya worked. Too many games. Is Hanbin only bubbling himself early in fights so he can get another bubble? Yeah, so he uses one very early. Usually like 6 to 8 seconds before the fight, because he knows he can get a little bit of energy and he won't need that bubble again. And he understands when the fights are going to happen so much. Like, he's probably going to bubble. Actually, he's not. Because the fight's going on, he's not going to bubble himself, right? Unless they run at him. Yeah, there's a bubble for himself. Then bubbles the Reaper. Oh, he's he's dead. Oh, okay, yeah. That was That was a pretty good I think his grab missed the Reaper. If he catches the Reaper in that grab, that's a very different fight. But because although got away from the grab, it kind of put a lot of pressure onto it. Ryzen, thank you for the prime sub.
Keep it coming. Stop the pain.
That's it, agreed, right? It's too hard to determine. Yo! Look at this. He knows Hopper's gonna bubble, trying to get energy out. Left, 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 left. Shoots it into the sky, knowing the Hopper's gonna bubble. You don't get energy from Hanbin. Think you're gonna get energy from Hanbin? Get that shit out of here. Small plays, it's the little things. Hopper's got more energy than Hanbin right now, though. Oh, okay, he gets onto the Reaper. Okay, he's got another one now for Edison. Goes back onto Edison. It's kind of actually interesting because the way this composition plays, Edison is almost like the tank. It's like Edison's diving as the tank, but he's only tanky because Hanbin keeps bubbling him. So like, it's not even Hanbin playing in the front line as the Zarya. Edison's playing in front of him and Hanbin's in the middle, right? Edison is Winston. Yeah, kinda, right? He's just bubbling. Custa didn't watch my video? I didn't. What did you talk about? Is that what you said? I'm sorry, Johnny. Plagiarism, yeah. Reaper shoot, Reaper spin. Alright. This is gonna be hard to get through the choke. So, Defiant go to Mei, which I think we can all agree is just a terrible idea. It's just a terrible idea. Like, I don't know what the Mei is going to accomplish against this comp. Like, they're just hoping they can isolate the Zarya, but I think they just lose so much raw damage from the soldier that it's just... And the flank potential of the soldier, I just don't really know what's gonna happen. Maybe stop the Reaper disengage. I think expecting that to work is like a pipe dream. Yeah, it'll work every now and then, but you're just gonna lose the neutral 90% of the time. Especially on this second point. Yeah, it can potentially work against Edison, and I like, obviously it makes sense. You can get some good walls, but I feel like at that point you're just playing a losing battle. So Fedidon, thank you for the prime sub.
Stay strong, and we have them. Ready for
Yo, the rare double Hanbin bubble on himself. I wonder if that is under recognition that he's gonna throw the grab, so he needs more damage. He's still got a bubble up. Hanbin bubbles himself again. Man, Hanbin's so greedy. Alright, so they're gonna put a Mei ult down to make sure they cap this. Edison wasn't there. Yeah, I'm just fine. Chorong is nuts. Yeah, Chorong actually just popped up. Oh, sorry.
Give them hell.
The Mei is the counter, Kovian. Alright. Doa goes to the Echo. I was gonna say with the Mei, I think Echo would be a better play. Because I think you can get the high ground, you can get the stickies. You can potentially force a lot more bubbles as the Echo. The Mei just feels so circumstantial, you know, right? Like, it's gonna be good sometimes if you can get that wall right. Like, but like, in this situation where they're not going in with a wall, like, the Mei just doesn't, like... So he doesn't get value out of the wall, so what did he do in that fight? Like, what is he doing as the Mei? Oh, he didn't... Did he have a bubble, or he only just got the bubble? Doa's usually really good with the serious ones. He's just a really smart player. Like, that's what makes Doa such a great player, is how smart he is. Reaper dead. Echo is my new Reaper now. Doer is my new best friend. The Ashe would be a thing. Honestly, I actually like the Ashe pick. Like, I actually wouldn't mind if Defiant went to Ashe. Because what happens is the Ashe does way more damage than the Soldier and has more kill potential than the Soldier. Plus, Bob, I think, gets a lot of value. You can force bubbles. You can do a lot of surprise damage. Like, I actually wouldn't hate the Ashe because it kind of forces the fuel to do something. The only thing you would need to be careful of is Edison TPing into the Ashe's face. So you would need to be aware of it as the Lucio and the Zarya on your team, right? There are times, I agree that the Ashe might die, but I think if they can ever give the freedom to the Ashe to shoot, I think you're in a good spot. And I think it forces the fuel to do something, right? Right now, it doesn't feel like Hanbin and the fuel are forced to do anything. It feels like they just wait for the Defiant to walk in, they double bubble Edison, and then Defiant, they've had to use bubbles themselves earlier. So it just feels like they're in a constant cycle of like being behind. Ashe Mercy. I don't know if I like the Mercy on top of that. I feel like you might just get run over by the Ashe, but it's hard to really know. Good counter death was. Oh my god, Hanbin actually held that bubble. Victory. Soldier does more damage than Ashe actually and has more mobility, but Ashe has better kill potential. Soldier does more raw damage, but Ashe has more kill potential. With the double dink potential of an Ashe, you have a better opportunity to just eliminate someone before there is any way to react. Plus, you have Dynamite, which is a really big deal because if you hit a big Dynamite, it forces a lot of resources and stuff like that. The Ashe just has the more potential to force resources out of the opposition. All right, we got one more map. Let's do it. I think it's Circle Royale. We got the Hanbin right. Bad Hanbin. Don't do it. Trolling us. I think Zen will be played if Zarya becomes hard meta. I think when we go into the next patch and the next tournament, Zen's going to be played. Zen with 25 more health is a big deal. And the kick. I think we'll see a lot more Zen. It'll be interesting to see how much more and what happens in the next patch, but at least it'll stay fresh. How's the POV obtained? All right, for new people here, Tasmo hit me up and was able to get me with these. The exchange was for, he wants me to just highlight that Dallas Fuel is going to be doing this stuff. They released the Chio POV onto their own YouTube. Go check out the Dallas Fuel YouTube, subscribe to their things if you want to see more individual POVs because they're going to be uploading them throughout the season. And that's their plan. And, you know, they just want to get more content from Dallas Fuel out there. So, Custa paid him the big bucks, you know me. And Tasmo is the general manager of Dallas Fuel, yes. So, there you go. Patrick linked the videos and Dallas Fuel, so go check those out. So we're going to see a different look from the Dallas Fuel. We're going to see the Zen Brig Sigma stuff. The thing that everybody is playing because no one plays Winston Zarya here. Boston Uprising. So, good. We'll see a good look from these guys. Get a look at the Sigma from Hanbin. We all know Hanbin's very talented at every single off tank. So, never gonna let that go. Hey, you know, I'll forget about it in a week. But Boston Uprising and Washington Justice are my punching bags for the week. And this is really the strength of, oh wow, good play. This is really the strength of the Sigma, right? Ooh. It's like just being able to hold these chokes. There's so many turns and Sigma does such a good job against them, so. That Widow is in such a bad spot. Oh wow, that heal at the last second was clutch. This is actually the first map, I knew this was the first map we got to see of Gurio, right? It was rumored he was very nervous, so. Yeah, gets a win against Hisu. Why Brig over Bap with no flankers? Because Brig is massively underrated as a hero in the game right now. She actually does a surprising amount of healing in the game right now. And I think Brig is very solid. I don't think you need to be playing against divers to make her viable right now. Because there is less shields and you can get Inspire uptime a lot more easy. I think it's actually quite strong. Yeah, BAP kind of just dies. Like, I think... Oh, nice play by Hanbin, getting out of the way. It feels like people have really struggled to get BAP to work. And because people aren't as grouped up, like grouped up, it feels like you don't get as much value out of the lamp and the right clicks. Hisu gets Edison with the mines. Alright, this might be hopefully be a big flux. He's gonna use it here, actually. Oh, wow. Although he's playing with fire here. Oh, wow. I'm surprised he went up by that. Oh, he got the BAP on the way out. Not bad. Yeah, BAP is one of the weakest supports right now in Overwatch 2. According to Statsman Ben.
I'll try a different approach. Hi.
It's playing again.
I can protect you.
Goddamn, Patrick. The lamp deploy time is super noticeable now. Yeah, and it makes it really difficult to utilize and use, like, on the fly, right? Like, I'd honestly prefer a Mercy in the BAP Zen combo, with, like, to play with, like, I don't know, anyone. I think Brig's the best, but I would rather the Mercy over the BAP, honestly. I'd rather you play, like, kind of what the APAC region does, where they play, like, the Echo Mercy. You think BAP will come better with the new buff? I gotta really see how it plays. We didn't really get to get a good feel for how the new patch was working with the BAP buffs, so. It's hard to know right now. We'll see once we get our hands on it again. Mercy Zen is so little healing. Mercy does a lot of healing. It's just gonna be very difficult. Oh, Hisu gets Edison is a big kill, and Twilight getting the Brig. Alright, so Fielder gets forced. To use Transcendence, good win by Guryo. But like, you can just see how strong the Sig is, of like, you're just such a force to be reckoned with. It's so hard for them to get through your shields. That you're just, like, this is why everyone plays Sig here. Oh, Cho wrong. I don't know about, I guess it's last fight. But this is why Sig is played on this map, and this is what Sig's niche is. Why isn't Sig played on other maps? Because it's not as, like, I could absolutely see Sig being played more on King's Row. I just think people are really excited, but it's because there's so many corners in the shields that you can just, like, dip in and out of doorways a lot and stuff like that. Feels like Sig gets a lot of value right now. Like, you can just see the value that Hanbin's getting, where he's holding that choke. He has his shield to step up when he wants to. He's doing constant damage, just bouncing things off walls. He can be a threat in the front line. It's really hard to punish a Sigma in this current meta. If everything is spread out and there's a lot more flanks, like you see in like push and control maps, Sigma doesn't get played, and that's why Sigma doesn't get played on those kind of maps. But I would absolutely not be surprised to see more Sig get played on other maps. Route 66, I think there's too much high ground and too much like flanking on Route 66 to make it work. I think it's primarily, for me, it's maps like Circle Royale and King's Row and stuff like that. Last part of King's Row B is a lot more open, and that could be it, right? Like, you could end up just not being able to get value out of that shield.
These phenomena bear further investigation.
LCO is an interesting one. That could be a good shout, actually. I think teams maybe have tried it. We'll see what they do.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Defending the barrier.
Alright, so Churong's still gonna keep playing the BAP. You can just straight up see the difference, right? By the way these two teams are holding, and I really like the way the Fuel did it. I think Defiant letting Fuel have this room is a problem. I think you saw how much value Hanbin got being able to juggle in and out of this room, hold off the flanks. It gave them a lot more space. I think the problem with where Defiant are holding is if they get once Hopper gets forced out with his shield and his like cooldowns, they're gonna have to run. Right? And so all of a sudden they have to give up the whole corridor because they have nowhere to disengage to. So they got to fall back, further back. So I think this might be a mistake by Defiant. They should have seen how much success Dallas Fuel had with holding that corner and tried to mimic the same thing. Like you saw, Hanbin was so surprised when he took that for free. This is methodical of like how Dallas Fuel is just taking space on the map, right? There hasn't been a fight, yet somehow the Dallas Fuel have already managed to make the Defiant disengage. All the way back to almost the second fight for what the Defiant got. Although he's got to be careful, he's going to get got soon. Oh, Hisu wins the 1v1 versus Gurio.
Thank you.
Like, Hanbin is always looking for these corners, these things where you can disengage to, where he's safe without the bubble. Without the shield, sorry.
Barrier. Unstable. My barrier is destroyed. Barrier. Unstable.
Oh. Dude, he's putting so much pressure on all, though. They're just trying to create space, really, for, to get a kill on the Widow. Oh, there's the stick. Oh, wow, great lamp by Churung. Talking about how hard it is to get a lamp out on time. Oh, wow, Hisu gets Hanbin as well.
That music. It's playing again.
Is Bap or Brig better? I like the Brig, honestly. I actually really like the Brig these days. I think Brig is underrated. I think her ultimate is way better than I don't think Baptiste's ult is good. Is one of the big detracting factors as well. Having Rally is such a good ultimate. Amplification Matrix is really hard to use. Like, get good effectiveness from. Oh, good play. Oh, that's Lamp, by the way. You saw that? So now he gets his own flux. It's probably going to be Transcendence. But hopefully they can take some space off of that. Wow, that was a greed on the Transcendence there by Twilight. Oh, he hit the rock. Oh, man, that's such an important rock. If he doesn't hit that rock, Hopper probably doesn't die, and this gets a lot harder. That rock probably just won them this map. Oh, Hanbin's just too good. No, rocks him out of the lamp. My MVP. Hanbin is so talented and handsome. You can see how dominant he is. You can understand why Hanbin is in playing for these off-tank heroes. We're seeing the trend of the league move towards the way that Hanbin and the Dallas Fuel have been playing that Zarya. Obviously playing the Sigma on Circa Royale that we just saw. So once again, I want to give a massive shout out to the Dallas Fuel for giving me access to these VODs. Hopefully we can get more in the future. Dallas Fuel's committed to doing more on their YouTube channel, so make sure to go check that out. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Get a little bit of a deep dive, get some analysis of what Hanbin's been doing. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.